turn our attention to the story about Honeywell. The U.S. defense contractor has agreed to pay a $13 million fine and compliance costs as well after officials sent dozens of engineering and technical documents to China. Other countries as well. This happened between 2011 and 2015. They included details on the F-35 and F-22 fighter jets, as well as the B-1B Lancer, a long-range strategic bomber that Honeywell also now faces 34 charges for endangering U.S. national security. Now, Honeywell did admit this themselves. They say it was an accidental kind of release of this information here. But $13 million, a lot of people say, doesn't sound like a lot of money for a massive company like Honeywell. Do you think this is an appropriate sanction for what happened?
John, no, I don't. If you look at the value that the Chinese have derived from Honeywell, allowing the Chinese to have access to blueprints, to schematics of critical aircraft like the F-35, the F-22, these are aircraft, our most advanced aircraft we've worked diligently on to get an advantage over the Chinese, and now they have, the very fundamental elements of how those aircraft operate, and they have it in their hands. That's billions of dollars worth of value that now the Chinese have that we've had to spend money to develop. And a $13 million fine? No, I don't think it's anywhere close to the harm that's been done to United States interests. And now what I think cuts right to the trustworthiness of Honeywell.
Yeah, and you read some of these reports, it indicates that Honeywell also has business inside of China. How can a defense contractor be working for both the U.S. military and the Chinese government at the same time? Can those two things exist at the same time?
Well, John, I think those are questions that we have to ask. This cuts right to the trustworthiness of Honeywell to work within the national defense realm. And as you point out, they admitted that they committed a breach of national security. And if they're not trustworthy, the question becomes, should they continue to do work for the United States military or for any efforts of the United States government in our national interest? I think that's a very specific question that has to be asked by both the Pentagon and Congress as to what Honeywell's role will be in the future.
Yeah, a lot of questions about the relationship, not just between defense contractors and Congress and Pentagon and some of these lobbyists that also work there in Washington. To folks outside of Washington, it does smell very strange. Now, Honeywell, again, they say this came during their normal business discussions. They also say no detailed manufacturing or engineering expertise was shared, but it's hard to imagine how that's possible. I mean, China is stealing our secrets all the time. A little help like this can fill in the blanks and stuff they already have.
That's exactly right, John. It may be in and of itself single bits and pieces of information here, may not in themselves have a direct endangerment to national security. But you're right. The Chinese are very adept at putting together the puzzle. So this may be that missing piece that they need in order to really get insights into our aircraft and into the things that give us that advantage. I believe that the breach by Honeywell is incredibly damaging to the United States. It is a dereliction of Honeywell's duty in what they should be doing to protect national interests. I think it is problematic to its very core. And everything that we do today to maintain a strategic advantage over China has to be done across all spectrums, not just within the Pentagon, not just within government systems, but also within private systems that work on these national defense issues.
Yeah, again, this was, between 2011 and 2015, a long time ago, but we've learned a lot about China in those years. So, Congressman Wittman, I know this is important to your district as well. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about school because I know your wife is a teacher, but we'll have you back to have a follow-up conversation on that as well. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you, John.
Our appreciation to the congressman. He does represent Hampton Roads area of Virginia. Very important, the military industry there. I know he wants to make sure this is followed up on. All right, an agreement has been